gentlemen, good day and welcome to the webinar on cloud computing. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode. During the course of presentation, if any participant intends to ask questions, they can use the chat box option appearing at the bottom of the screen to submit a question to the speakers. All questions will be taken up at the end of the session. Please note that this conference is being recorded. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone phone. The speakers for the webinar today are Mr. Naveen Kumar, Associate Director, Grant Thornton Advisory Private Limited, and Mr. Shashi Shekhar Chogle, Chartered Accountant, Bengaluru. I now hand over the call to Mr. Shashi Shekhar to start the webinar. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Hello and welcome to this Grant Thornton webinar on cloud computing. Grant Thornton in India is a professional services firm providing an array of services ranging from assurance, governance and risk management, tax and regulatory advisory compliance, as well as growth navigation offerings such as forensic and investigation, valuation, government and public sector consulting, IT advisory, and cybersecurity and digital services. Present in India through 15 offices across the country and driven by over 3,000 people, Grant Thornton India aspires to be the best growth advisor to dynamic businesses. Today's webinar is the third in the series of technology-related webinars that we wish to bring to our audience. The first was on blockchain and the second on artificial intelligence. In case you missed those and wish to see now, you can go to the YouTube channel Grant Thornton India LLP and find the webinars there. As I mentioned earlier, TT is a professional services firm. Although there is a team specializing in digitech and IT security advisory that can speak about and deal with issues as technical as they can get, content for this particular webinar is designed keeping a lay, non-technical listener as the focus. Water from the oceans and seas and lakes and rivers evaporates due to the sun's intense heat. Such water vapor forms clouds. These clouds are blown around by wind, and when they cool down, it rains. So we learned in school in geography class. Now replace the word water with data and the words ocean, seas, and lakes and rivers with servers, desktops, laptops, smartphones, scanners, or point-of-sale devices, and the word wind with cables and routers and switches. Keep the word cloud intact, and you begin to imagine what cloud computing might really mean. To an uninitiated, non-technical person like me, it's useful to draw a parallel with the way Mother Nature uploads water from various sources, stores it in a single or multiple clouds for easy management, moves them around as required, and then downloads it for a great thirst-quenching user experience. Early developers perhaps had this natural analogy when they chose to use the cloud symbol to represent networks of computing equipment in the original ARPANET by as early as 1977 and then CSNet by 1981, both predecessors to the Internet itself. The word cloud was used as a metaphor for the Internet, and a standardized cloud-like shape was used to denote a network on telephony schematics. In 2006, Amazon created Amazon Web Services and introduced its Elastic Compute Cloud, or EC2. Wikipedia mentions that by mid-2008, Gartner saw an opportunity for cloud computing to shape the relationship among consumers of IT services, those who use IT services and those who sell them, and observed that organizations are switching from company-owned hardware and software assets to per-use service-based models so that the projected shift to computing will result in dramatic growth in IT products in some areas and significant reductions in other areas. Google Cloud Platform traces its origin to 2008. In 2010, Microsoft released Microsoft Azure. IBM announced its Smart Cloud in 2011, and in 2012, Oracle announced Oracle Cloud. Well, with so many clouds in the cyber skies, we started noticing. We also started using these clouds much before even realizing. Remember using Salesforce CRM for the first time in late 90s? It was on cloud. Or when you used Dropbox or Google Drive first? When you hailed your first cab on Uber? Well, you were using the cloud. This webinar's endeavor today is to address our collective curiosity without sounding very nerdy or technical. I have with me Grant Thornton India's in-house technical expert who has remarkable experience in this domain. He is Naveen Kumar. Naveen is a Bachelor of Engineering and an MBA from IIMB. He is part of Grant Thornton's Digital Transformation Services team and comes with almost 20 years of experience. He has architected, built, program managed, and delivered really large-scale engagements that span across multiple countries, especially pan-India as part of digital initiatives of Government of India in the areas of cloud computing, health, digital transformation, finance and telecommunication. Naveen has played a key role in many of the award-winning government programs, and these are currently being rolled out in consultation with state health departments. Naveen was instrumental in carrying out a feasibility study for setting up a greenfield data center and also evaluated other options like co-location. He has managed large-scale telecom labs data centers, right from sizing, setting up the servers, networks, operations, monitoring, troubleshooting, service level agreement adherence, HA planning as part of his prior experience. Given his hands-on experience on different cloud platforms like Azure, AWS, Google, and virtualization platforms, big data infrastructure setup, and capacity planning for Hadoop, Cloudera, and Hortonworks, and extensive knowledge of server and storage products from different vendors, we couldn't have got a better speaker for enlightening us today on this webinar. So thank you, Naveen, for your time, and please take it forward from here. As you listen to Naveen, do feel free to submit your questions to us. We shall try to address as many as time permits. But in case we don't address your questions today, we shall get back to you separately. So over to you, Naveen.
Thank you, Rishi. Welcome all who have decided to join this webinar today with us. So I'll be taking you through the cloud computing webinar. So we are on slide number 1. In today's time, if you look at, cloud is considered to be one of the key drivers of digital transformation, disrupting traditional IT by bringing forth unprecedented levels of flexibility and business agility. I'll emphasize on the word agility, and we will see that working for us when we adopt cloud going forward as we move across the webinar. Cloud enables both the new age digital companies which rely on technology and data, as well as traditional businesses who are adopting digital channels and infusing technology into their core products and services. Cloud truly embraces and enables the motto of fast-paced innovation that enterprises today strive for. We could name them as fail fast, fail cheap. We would like to learn as quickly as possible. And if you really think that that's not your cup of tea, you have to come out of that quickly. And cloud gives you that platform to look at those kind of ventures in your environments. Or you could call them as fail fast, learn fast, or try many and use the best for you. In the subsequent slides, you will see what is cloud and how it is helping the companies today to meet the demand from ever-changing business scenarios. Slide 2, please. Cloud computing is a term that has gained widespread use over the last few years. The exponential increase in data and complex business scenarios that has accompanied society's transition into 21st digital century. It is becoming more and more difficult for individuals and organizations to keep all of their vital data, information, programs, and systems up and running on their on-premise data centers or servers. The solution to this problem is one that has been around for nearly as long as the internet, but that has only recently gained widespread application for businesses. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about cloud here. Simply put, cloud computing is the delivery of computing services, be it storage, servers, databases, networking, software, You would like to run analytics on top of your data. You would like to draw some intelligence from your data, and many more things what you can achieve using cloud in a very innovative way and with flexible resources and economies of scale. We typically pay only for the cloud services that you use, helping lower your operating costs. Run your infrastructure more efficiently, and it allows you to scale as your business needs grow. Cloud computing operates on a similar principle as she also mentioned about a couple of applications which we have used in our day-to-day routine affairs, like Gmail or booking a Uber or using Dropbox. Right? So these are the kind of applications which have been powered purely by cloud, and they come with a lot of in fact, most people already use a variety of cloud computing services without even realizing it, right? For all of these services, what we discussed, right? So users are sending their personal data to cloud hosted server that stores the information for later access. And as useful as these applications are for personal use, they are even more valuable for businesses that need to be able to access large amounts of data over a secure online network connection. Sectors of cloud that makes it so attractive for enterprises today are. First sector would be the cost savings. So there is literally no set of time required to go into cloud. That's again part of your cost savings. I'll tell you how. Once you're onto the cloud, you'll be access to your company's data, and application will save you money and time. And for those who are worried that they will end up paying for the features that they neither need or nor want, most cloud computing services are based upon pay-as-you-go model, like we do it for our water and other utility services. It means that if you do not take advantage of what cloud has to offer, then at least you don't have to be dropping your money on it. A pay-as-you-go system also applies to the data storage space needed to service your stakeholders and clients, which means that you will get exactly as much space as you need, not be charged for any space that you do not. Taken together, these factors result in a lower cost and higher return for the enterprise. Second factor would be the security. Cloud is hosted in a very secured environment, and cloud hosts full-time job is to carefully monitor security, which is significantly more efficient than a conventional in-house system. Where an organization must divide its efforts towards host of IT concerns, security being only one of them. And while most businesses do not like to openly consider the possibility of internal data theft, which is a bigger concern to me as compared to your data being stolen by somebody from outside. The truth is that such a staggering high percentage of data thefts occur internally, and we are not even bothered about it, right? And there are a lot of perpetrators who are sitting in your offices who are kind of stealing your data. I think we need to be able to this fact and make a conscious call whether we would like to rest our data within our premises, or cloud could be a secure place where nobody can access it, nobody can save it in their local drive, right? So there cannot be a better place to safeguard your data than to put this in the cloud. Another factor to consider cloud would be flexibility or agility. The business has only a finite amount of focus to divide between all of its responsibilities. If your current IT solutions are forcing you to commit too much of your attention to computer and data storage issues, then you are not going to be able to concentrate on reaching business goals and satisfying customers. On the other hand, by relying on an outside organization to take care of all your IT hosting and infrastructure needs, you will have more time to devote towards the aspects of your business that directly affects your bottom line. The cloud offers businesses more flexibility, overall overall versus hosting on a local server in your on-prem data center. And if you need extra bandwidth, a cloud-based service can meet that demand instantly, rather than undergoing a complex and expensive update to your IT infrastructure. This imposed freedom and flexibility can make a significant difference to the overall efficiency of your organization. Next factor would be on mobility. We are dealing with a lot of requirements around mobility today. Every company has a lot of people who come from millennial generation, right? And they would like to work at their own terms. We really can't afford to ignore their preferences today. So cloud computing allows mobile access to calculate data via smartphones and devices, which, considering over 2.6 billion smartphones are being used globally today, is a great way to ensure that no one is ever left out of the show or the loop. Staff with busy schedules or who live a long way from corporate offices can use this feature to keep instantly up to date with clients and co-workers. Through the cloud, you can offer conveniently accessible information to sales staff who travel a lot, freelancer employees, or remote employees for better work-life balance so that they stick around with you for longish periods of time. Therefore, it is not surprising to see that organizations with employee satisfaction listed as a priority are up to 24% more likely to adopt cloud and expand cloud. Moving on to the next factor, that is around data and the insights you could draw from data. So we are moving from realms of keeping our data in databases, going up to data warehouses where the data had increased in size, volume, veracity, and velocity. So there are three V's around data. Now we have seen data lakes being built up by companies, and I'll take you through one of my personal experiences while working on a data lake going forward in the webinar. So data as such is of no use if you are not able to derive an insights and valuable information out of it. So data is money, data is the new oil today. These are the adages that we keep hearing from different people at different points in time. So I think cloud gives you that agility and flexibility to store data either on data warehouses or data lakes, and it will give you tools and experience to access information the way you would like, and it will throw a lot of good insights for you to work upon so that you are able to improve your business metrics. We'll move on to slide 3 now. In a nutshell, if I define cloud computing is the use of computing resources, hardware and software, that are delivered as a service over a network. Cloud is an elastic environment involving multiple computing resources, and it provides a metered service for a specified level of quality of service. So we have seen that cloud comes with below key characteristics. One is agility, right? So it gives you agility to run your business. If, for example, if you are a startup or a company who is developing a new application to meet your needs in-house, or you are doing some application development for meeting client needs, time takes of a new infra in order to develop that application would range from 6 to 10 weeks. By the time you kind of decide on the size of the hardware, what all relevant additional components would be needed, and you place the order on the vendor. By the time you get the delivery done to your data center, it's powered up, it's networked, and system is up and running with all the required OS and network and whatever tools you would need to develop the software or the application. It's anywhere between 6 to 10 weeks time, but with cloud, you would be able to achieve that in a matter of minutes, not even hours or days, right? So kind of agility cloud can provide its tremendous benefits for your business. Second would be, as we have touched upon this aspect, is device and location independence. So it's kind of harping on the fact that mobility aspects could be taken care very well by cloud. Once the app is hosted on cloud, it could be accessed from anywhere, from any device. Third characteristic for cloud would be availability. So cloud systems are highly available. So there are inherent provisions built in by cloud providers to give you disaster recovery mechanisms. You should be able to fall back to a passive system, which is kind of a backup for your infra, and your business should not take a hit because of non-availability of these resources. Next would be on reliability and scalability. So cloud systems are highly reliable, which means that you would be able to kind of make sure that your systems would be able to deliver the same results consistently over a period of time under static conditions. Next characteristic for cloud is on scalability. Cloud offers highly scalable solutions. So there are provisions in cloud which would give you auto-scaling functionality. That means as and when there is a busted traffic or seasonal traffic hitting your system, they should be able to give you required infrastructure to handle that traffic. And once the traffic wanes off, your infra would fall back to the normal cycle. You will pay only for that busted traffic for which you have taken additional hardware or infra from the cloud. You could use the benefits of multi-tenancy. If you are a corporate and you are looking at charging back the cloud spends across your different departments, so it's a multi-tenant environment which cloud provides you, and you could very well charge back to your different departments depending upon their requirements and usage of cloud. We'll go to slide number 4 now. So as we have seen in the previous diagram, so there are different types of deployment modes for cloud. So typically we come across 4 deployment modes on cloud. They are classified as public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, or community cloud. The public clouds are owned and operated by a third-party cloud provider like Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, Google has Google Cloud Platform, which deliver their computing resources like servers and storage over the network. They are accessible from a normal web browser, and we should be able to spin these resources in no time. Microsoft Azure is an example of a public cloud like AWS and GCP from Google. In the public cloud, all hardware, software, and other supporting infrastructure is owned and managed by the cloud provider. You access these services and manage your account using a web browser, as I said before. These services are offered on a pay-as-you-go model. You pay only for the time duration for which you are using these resources. Other deployment mode could be private cloud. Private cloud refers to cloud computing resources used exclusively by a single business or organization. The private cloud can be physically located on companies' on-site data centers. Some companies also pay third-party service providers to host their public cloud. So there are a lot of softwares available today to convert your on-prem data centers to private cloud so that you are able to reap the benefits of cloud environment for your organization. Private cloud is one in which the services and infrastructure are maintained on a private network. We go on to discuss about hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud combine public and private clouds bound together by technology that allows data and application to be shared between them. You could even have a hybrid cloud spanning across your public cloud and your on-prem data center. It could be any combination of public, private, and your on-prem data center. By allowing data and applications to move between private and public clouds, a hybrid cloud gives you businesses greater flexibility, more deployment options, and helps optimize your infrastructure costs. And of course, it gives you added advantage by giving you deep web security, and it's highly compliant to a lot of global bodies. Hybrid cloud is a composition of two or more clouds that remain unique entities, but they are bound together, offering the benefits of multiple deployment models. We can use hybrid cloud in scenarios like wherein you would like to run a business critical service on-prem or on a private cloud hosted in your own data center. But only you would take it to cloud when there is peak or seasonal traffic. You really do not want to have your users run through a bad user experience when they come and hit that application which is hosted in this environment. So, and at the same time, you don't want to compromise on your business sensitive information. So you retain the sensitive information in-house, but allow the traffic to be taken up only on the built-up public cloud environment. Deployment strategy on cloud could be community cloud. Community cloud share infrastructure between several organizations on a specific community with common concerns. The costs for housing the community cloud would be spread across whoever is sharing this infrastructure. And of course, this would be number of users using the community cloud would be fewer than the public cloud, but more than the private cloud. On to slide number 5. So there are typically 3 types of cloud services: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. As you can see from the diagram also, so if you look from left to right, so the first one is your on-prem. Everything is housed on-prem infrastructure, wherein let me take a very classical example. If you were to kind of develop an application, so right from the bottom, networking going up to the application level, everything would be your responsibility. You have to manage the show yourself, right from networking, storage, kind of arranging the required servers for computing, virtualization layer, operating system, middleware, runtime, data, and applications. Everything would be your responsibility. As you move to the right, which is the next infrastructure as a service, you will see that you are able to offload many of these functionalities or requirements to the cloud provider.
So, Naveen, let me ask you a question here. So there is a bit of a Greek and Latin on this slide. So most of us perhaps would understand what networking and storage means. But what is this virtualization? What is middleware, runtime? Can you elaborate what these terms mean?
Sure. So if you look at the bottom 3 pieces, networking, storage, and servers, so these are your infrastructure. Now you are loading your virtualization layer on top of your infrastructure. Virtualization essentially allows you to break the whole infrastructure, underlying infrastructure into multiple pieces. So what I'm saying is, even if you had one single machine and if you have loaded a virtualization software, and there are multiple virtualization software providers today. So we have, for example, VMware, we have virtualization coming from Red Hat, we have virtualization layer coming from Microsoft, Hyper-V. So once you load one of these virtualization software, you would be able to create multiple instances of sliced hardware, which would use the same underlying hardware. So, okay, let me give you another example here. So, for example, if you have a server with 5 GB of RAM, and so in a virtualized environment, that environment would allow you to create 5 different virtual machines with 1 GB each of RAM. Right? So on top of virtualization, you can load different operating systems for these virtual machines. And then, depending upon your requirements, you can go for a middleware coming from IBM, or there could be enterprise buses which would help you to connect your operating system and the application. So middleware is nothing but it's kind of a bridge between your operating system and the application. Runtime environments are needed when you are actually kind of uh, compiling your application code with runtime environment. So there are runtime environments like Java or .NET. So a lot of libraries would get loaded at runtime so that you are able to create your application cohesively, which can run independently. So moving on to the PaaS platform as a service, if you look at, you have even more offloaded your responsibilities to cloud provider. When you have even offloaded the OS, middleware, and runtime to the PaaS service. So PaaS services today could be invoked from a public cloud provider using APIs. So I can give you examples like it could be an API which would give you functionality like API, right? You would be able to read the strange parameters from a photo. And then if you would like with somebody like a terrorist or you would like to, for example, if you have a video clipping from your CCTV camera which is housed in your apartment complex, and you would like to catch some people who are unwanted there in that video. So you would be able to use this fake API to catch such aberration and would be able to figure out when did such person enter your complex and would be able to trace them and kind of take actions against them.
So thanks for that example, Naveen. But very basic question here. Sorry for that. What does API stand for?
API is Application Programming Interface. So when we are coding, so we kind of invoke that API so that we don't have to rewrite the code which is already written by somebody. And as a cloud providers might charge you per hit basis. For example, if you're sending a photo to the cloud provider, the API provider, they might charge you some cents or some rupees for that API, and they will give you the result back. Right? So you really don't have to reinvent the wheel here. You will be able to capitalize on the existing code, which is written, tested, and qualified by somebody else for you. Right? So it's kind of a very democratized way of looking at things. It's available to everyone today. I mean, I really don't need to have a data scientist sitting in my office to come up with those algorithms so that I would be able to do facial matching. I should be able to authenticate whether to the same person who is applied, who is the kind of book they have. For example, Uber is actually looking at using the same facial expressions to authenticate whether this is the same person who is a registered user, and who has actually booked the cab for this time frame. So before they are allowed to board the cab, their faces would be matched with their pictures, which is stored in the backend. For example, Ola does using OTP, but OTP can still be, siphoned off, and you could use somebody's OTP and still board the cab. So this is much more secure and robust way of authenticating users and give customer experience. Last column here would be on software as a service. One typical example is Office 365, wherein there is no responsibilities from you. Everything is managed and controlled by the cloud service provider. So this is a typical main client which is given by Supercare. So similar services are available from other cloud providers also. So you just typically these are offered on a subscription basis. You pay depending upon the number of users you have subscribed it for, and it's a monthly or yearly charge what you have to incur. So you absorb yourself from all the responsibilities of managing the infrastructure, managing the application, managing none of these things you have to manage yourself. Moving on to slide number 6. I will take you through a couple of cloud adoption trends. So there are some of the statistics from a report published by RightScale on cloud adoption. SMB, which is small and medium businesses, in towards public cloud with almost 47% preferring either single or multiple public clouds. So there are a lot of strategies around cloud. I mean, you really don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You would like to diversify your risk. So you are looking at multiple cloud strategy at times. So either it could be a combination of public and private cloud, or it could be you are latching on to 2 or 3 public cloud providers. I mean, it could be a mix and match of any of these combinations. The last 12 months, since the report was published, we have seen both public and private cloud adoption increase. Number of respondents now adopting public cloud is up to 92%, up from 89% in 2017. Number of respondents who are adopting private cloud is 75% now, up from 72% in 2017. So we are seeing that there is overall increase in cloud adoption overall across SMB sector as well as other sectors. Go on to the next slide, please. This is a slide which talks about what will be fueling the cloud revolution going forward. So we have seen that if you look at the second point here, so a lot of companies are looking at cloud today because they would like to match up to the competition, or it could be arising out of management hubris, wherein they are seeing some success coming from their competition, and they would like to replicate the same success. But I think first mover advantage would always be there for companies who have actually gone ahead and adopted cloud much earlier than people who are trying to catch up with them. And it also would come from the fact that people are open to try out. Let's also try, right? So what's there in the cloud, whether it's really going to benefit, suit us, whether it's going to meet our requirements or not, nobody has a clue. So they would like to see and try, and they're kind of opening up and talking to people to consult them on how should they strategize, how should they get started to take their first baby steps to go on to cloud. Other set of people are coming because of a lot of compliance requirements like GDPR, I mean, which took people for surprise last year, and a lot of public cloud providers, they started complaining about that we are compliant to GDPR. So it's kind of the pressure coming from regulatory and compliance requirements. People are looking up to cloud providers to help them with. And there are constant concerns around security, data privacy, and policy compliances, which are mandating companies to shift their focus on keeping the sensitive data on-prem and take it to cloud. And many of these are also coming due to the mandates from clients. Clients would like corporates or their vendors to take their application onto cloud for whatever facts and advantages we have seen so far of adopting cloud. So we will go on to slide number 8 now, please. The slide talks about value propositions of cloud. So I think a couple of these benefits we have already seen. So for example, cost, we have touched upon what kind of cost advantages we would be able to see. So I think I'm not singling out only the cost in terms of monetary benefits. I think you'll have to look at the total cost of ownership by the time you conceptualize about developing an application and taking it to fruition. And then doing the same thing by erecting that infrastructure in-house. So you would not be able to kind of grow unless between these two arrangements. Cloud would be very agile, would be very nimble. It would give you up and running infra in no time. Whereas if you were to do it in-house, and we have discussed that before, it might take, say, 8 weeks of time. So you would basically lose time and you would not be able to figure out whether that's the right kind of application for your organization or not. Whether you should be actually putting your energies and chase that application to roll out in market or not. So you would like to kind of try it first, right? And fail fast if you are really failing. Or you would like to see success at the earliest. So cloud will give you that agility, business agility, and if you factor in the cost around that, because it's kind of loss of your opportunity cost also. So if you are able to try 5 times versus trying an application on-prem, it's kind of a total loss of business for you. I would say that I think cloud should be used maybe only for trying out whether this application is something which you would like to put your heart into or not. We have seen speed, so cloud gives you speed in terms of you would be able to come up to the infrastructure requirements in no time. We have touched upon scalability, performance, business agility, security, productivity already. So we can move on to slide number 9. This slide talks about what kind of different CXOs look at cloud and what would be their priorities. So CIO might look at cloud from migration strategy point of view. What would be the right migration strategy for his organization or her organization? So there are every workload in your organization may not be cloud ready. You should not kind of take a blanket call that everything would go on to cloud overnight. So there has to be a strategy in place. There has to be a migration plan in place. Then only you should be able to take baby steps to go into cloud. So I think CIO's top priority would be around cloud migration. And then in the process, they would be able to figure out whether which set of applications, and we will talk about RLM approach in coming slides, but they should be able to take which applications are actually cloud ready and what kind of applications they should redevelop on cloud native platforms. And how could they integrate multiple clouds as part of that strategy? If the mandate is coming that they should have multiple cloud strategy, hybrid cloud strategy in place. So that's something which would be a concern for CIO. Of course, the cloud security would be a concern, whether cloud is equally secure as your on-prem or it's more secure than on-prem. And I think we have seen that step before. So from the CTO point of view, CTO would be interested more in terms of whether computing could be done on the edge. I will take you through a use case here. And the second aspect from CTO point of view would be in terms of a lot of data which is generated today, whether it's coming from your CCTV, whether it's coming from your sensors, depending upon the setup you are in. So a lot of data is being generated today. Whether you believe it or not, the data is coming. So you'll have to look at how could you move computing to your edge. So essentially what I'm trying to tell here is you really don't have to take every data, every single piece of data to cloud. So there could be instances wherein or use cases wherein you may have to take a call instantly rather than waiting for half an hour or 20 minutes, 30 minutes. By the time every data is uploaded to cloud and there are engines running on cloud, and then they would make sense from the data and get back to you for the action plan, right? For example, Shell in their petrol pumps, they wanted to capture or catch the instances of fire. When a petrol pump with fire is ignited somewhere, it just started, right? You really can't afford that photographs to be uploaded to cloud, and cloud engine running on top of that photograph and trying to make sense that this is actually a fire incident, right? And by the time the response comes back from cloud, it might be too late for a fuel station or for a Shell petrol pump. Everything might go bust there. So they have actually taken the computing onto the edge, wherein the device which is capturing data would be able to kind of run the logic on top of this picture and allow the required or the relevant team to take action instantly, rather than taking a test to cloud, and then coming back with the action plan. So cloud gives you this, so you can run your computing on the edge, or you can run it on the cloud. From a CFO point of view, there is a concept of finance cloud. So that essentially means that cloud-based financial software provides robust capabilities for businesses. Whether it's a small business or a large business, they can easily share workflows and approval processes between multiple departments simultaneously, or even reduce billing processes, all on one platform. There are many benefits of financial cloud platforms that enable businesses to automate manual business processes, data accuracy, control and streamline your business approval processes, and data is accessible by all the stakeholders who have the required permissions and requisite rights to access the data 24/7. So they really do not need to be in office in silos working on the data. So there are cloud ERP solutions available which are offered today as software as a service, which could be made use of by. From a CDO point of view, CDO will be worried more on the data management on cloud. It may have been too tempting for businesses to work in silos. Teams often found it difficult to share insights widely. Coordination has been cumbersome, sharing was difficult, and transferring data, especially the large amounts of data, was very, very slow. The cloud has reduced many of these limitations, as we discussed about going from DB to data warehouses to data lakes today. So I think CBO mindset would be whether we can capitalize on the existing data lake solutions. That data which is coming from various sources, whether it's structured data, unstructured data coming from files, from social media, could be kind of done analytics on top of that and make it out of it. A CHRO would be interested whether there could be a SaaS offering, and of course there are SaaS offerings on human capital management software, which could be readily available and customized for the organization needs. And a CMO CSO would be interested whether we could capitalize on marketing cloud features, which cloud offers today. And there are a lot of, it's linked to CBO's preference also, because once the data is there, we should be able to run a lot of personalized campaigns depending upon the usage patterns on the users. I will move on to slide number 10. So I will run you through the few use cases that are native using cloud. So first one is one of the largest storage firms. They had actually built a data lake solution. And the idea is to have this data in a central place, and then they should be able to run a lot of rules to figure out whether there are anomalies in the data, whether certain set of transactions are kind of would lead into bogus transactions or transactions which should not have happened. So this would basically give you analytics capabilities on the data set that you have got from your clients, and the time was reduced with the advent of using cloud here, because if you were to set it up on-prem, it would have taken months to kind of build that infrastructure. So if you look at the technology stack, we had used Hadoop, which was built down south using a lot of components from SPF, like SPFS, Hive, Fig, and etc. And the idea is to build security into the system and to such a level that people who are not responsible for certain clients' data, they should not be able to view or see the data and not even run reports on such data sets. So I think this was one classical example which we have seen the benefits of thinking the timeline to roll out the solution in the market. Our solution was developed using blockchain, and this was completely hosted on cloud. This was a private cloud, uh, but since we are going to open it up to the value chain partners, and they all come from different territories and geographies, so we are shifting the solution to public cloud. But what I'm saying is, so there are a lot of decisions which we have to take, and kind of choose the right solution so that that would suit your needs. So idea was that while developing, we could afford to keep it on private cloud, but now we have to kind of keep it on public cloud, and kind of a migration is going to be very seamless the way we had architected our solution. A few more use cases I will take you through. I think with this example I have already touched upon. Facial matching would be done before users are allowed to go to that. Another example from a matrimonial site. So as a prospective groom or bride, when you are coming to that website to upload your data, the photo was also to be uploaded. And a lot of people were uploading junk photos, like photos of not themselves, but photos of, for example, a celebrity, right? And they had a team of a huge team which was manually looking at these photos and discarding and telling the profile holders that you have to give appropriate photos. They did not want to accept photos which is a group photo, family photo, a celebrity photo, or a photo of a host instead of your own photo. So everything was done manually. So when they approached one of the consulting companies in cloud space, they designed a solution to do this in automated fashion by looking at the photo through systems, and there were 19 algorithms built to reject the photos on 19 parameters. So if it is a celebrity photo, it would match and reject the photo if it is matching with one of those Salman Khan, Amir Khan photos, right? So similarly, if it is a good photo, so the number is appearing there, the person is appearing there, but they did not want to take group photos as a profile photo. And the time frame was reduced from 3 days by the time photo used to go live onto the site to a few hours with this. And they are actually making it more better in terms of performance, and we hope that this will reduce to few minutes in coming days.
So, well, Naveen, in a lighter vein, what if one of the celebrities himself had actually registered genuinely on that matrimonial website? I hope his profile also didn't get rejected.
Yeah, I think so. If you look at the systemic response, I think this would be rejection, but yeah. I think we'll have to look at that case, which would be a rarity in itself, and we'll have to allow, if the name is also matching with the celebrity name, then I think we should be able to retain that purpose. So it would entail some changes to the algo, but of course, yeah, this is doable there.
And maybe we can go to the one where you're talking about different paths, one journey. Okay, that's slides down from here.
Yeah, sure. We can go to slide number 13.
We have a few questions coming up and we need them answered before our webinar time is over.
Sure. So I think the message has been sent across, and so the motto for all of us is to look at how could we go to cloud? How could we take the first baby step to go to the cloud? So there is a method published by Gartner in March 2017. That's the RLIN methodology. So we will cover it in next slide, but I think just to run it through. So earlier days, everything was running on-prem. I mean, and there are companies today where they have taken control and they have decided to run everything on-prem. So there are typically a scenario wherein you might want to use IaaS as a service, or you may want to go with PaaS as a service, or you may want to replace your on-prem application and host that as a SaaS offering for your clients, right? So migration is very simple, wherein we are kind of lifting and shifting. So let's go to slide number 14. I think that will be easier for. Okay, so organization, there could be set of application, right? So on the left top corner, if you see, so there are group of application or set of application what you have. You have the complete application inventory in place. So how will you bucketize your application into different size parts? They could fall into replace category, which would be a complete kind of breakdown of that application which is running on-prem and hosted completely in cloud, right? We have seen the advantages of shifting responsibilities completely from you to the cloud provider, right? Second set of application could fall under rehost, and this has to be really worked through a strategy exercise, migration exercise planning, what we at GT help companies to do. So a rehost is kind of lift and shift. We are not changing anything. It's a similar source and destination platform. There are no changes or very minimal changes which are required to be done to enable this. And typically this is kind of doable in very quick time frame. Another set of application would fall under refactor, which are kind of cloud adaptive applications. Changes are done at application code level and database level as well, depending upon the complexity and the environment. And there are constraints in terms of technical limitations here. But this is doable very well, but I think in order to reach the benefits of cloud, you may have to take a call that you would like to refactor certain set of applications taken to cloud. So this is a moderately complex set of applications. Other the complexity involved here to take it to cloud would be moderate, right? Next would be revise or replatform, and which essentially means that we are modernizing the application and taking it to cloud. We might use new age kind of solutions coming from cloud. We might put them in containers. We might kind of use a lot of off-the-shelf tools available from cloud to enable re-architecting and re-platforming these applications. Last would be on rebuilding and re-architecting. This would be kind of, we are saying that we would be using and capitalizing on cloud completely. These would be cloud native applications. They will have to be rebuilt from scratch kind of thing. But it could be a complete revamp of the existing application. But of course, the results are going to be tremendous in terms of business benefits.
Naveen, I would now jump to the second last slide, actually, the slide on the cloud challenges in general. That's slide number 15. 15, please. Yes. So would you just like to quickly give this the next one?
So, I mean, this is a slide wherein I would discuss about what kind of challenges a company might face while they are adopting cloud. What kind of considerations they have to keep in mind while adopting cloud. First one would be we need to be having.
Right. So I think this is a slide which kind of gives it's a result of a survey as to what people are finding to be challenges in implementing cloud. So would you like to quickly touch upon this?
Yeah. So before the survey done sometime in 2018, and if I look at all the top key challenges which surfaced out of as a result of the survey, the top two were security and kind of spend, right? So people were very wary that cloud may not be as secure as it's touted to be. And secondly, it's difficult to control the spends on cloud. Of course, I think it's kind of a running tap, right? Wherein water is flowing out and you are charged on that outflow basis. So you need to learn how to control that spend. So you can't be putting on your electricity while you are not there, when you are not going to be using it. So you have to actually do a lot of automation while you are going on to cloud to see how could you control that spend by kind of remove the wastage. For example, if your development team is going to be working or your clients are going to be accessing only during normal business hours, 9 to 6. So you could kind of start your application only at 9 a.m. in the morning and shut down them at 6, so that for the rest of the day or night, you are not getting charged for the service on the cloud. So I think with this,
Sure. So I think the topmost concerns have been around security and managing cloud spend. In fact, one of the questions that have come in is regarding the cost. Now, you have deliberated on cost and how it results in a lot of savings compared to having an on-prem kind of infrastructure. So typically for a startup, I mean, let's say in any business, a generic business, let's say some e-commerce, a basic some food delivery app or a medicine delivery app or something like that. So imagine something like that, and can you just give me an indicative of ballpark number as to what could be the cost of employing cloud in a particular startup like that?
So I mean, I'll start with a very basic example wherein some group of people, they have started a startup, their own startup, and they are looking at coming out, or rather they would like to have some infrastructure in place. It could be a server. So they can go to cloud and spin a server. And the costing, just to answer your question, costing would depend upon various factors. One of them would be what kind of size of compute and memory they are putting in that server, right? So if it is a really...
Right, I understand that. But then very basic, let's say I am having some very basic functionalities.
Yeah.
Okay? So is that number going to run into lakhs or crores?
So the number is going to be in the range anywhere between say 3,000 to going up to a few lakhs, right? So depending upon...
We're talking about rupees.
Rupees.
This is per day, per month.
This is 3,000 rupees per month.
Oh, it's as low as that.
As low as that.
Wow, fantastic.
But you need to learn how to control your cost. That is kind of switching on the machines when you are not really using them. So I'm not talking about a 24/7 turn on for these machines. Or I mean,
yeah, but you can start for as low as that, and that's astonishing.
Great. 4,000 rupees per month. That's a wonderful.
Wonderful. So we have really run out of time here. Let me just quickly take only one question that has come in. You have mentioned about data warehouse and data lake. Very quickly, in like under 10 seconds, is there a difference between the two, and what is the difference?
So there are differences, of course, in terms of data warehouses, primarily worked on structured data. When I say structured data, it could be data coming in some structure. It could be an Excel file, a huge Excel file, or set of huge Excel files coming and getting stored in some structure in the data warehouse, right? So you have designated places for each of these columns where the data would reside in a data warehouse. Whereas the data lake can take data coming from any source, whether it's structured data, unstructured data coming from, for example, your social media, coming from LinkedIn, Twitter, any other Instagram. It could be in form of photos. All that could also get stored in data lake. And then you are able to take a holistic view of the complete data which is getting stored in data lake and take some insights out of that.
Understood. So being structured versus being unstructured, that's really the difference between a lake and a warehouse.
Yeah,
technology at a very high level.
At a high level, yeah.
Right. Excellent. I think that's been great, and we're really sorry that we have run out of time. I know this is a deep subject. We can spend a lot more time discussing some of the basic concepts here, but we have to stop today. Thank you to all of you who took time out to join this webinar, and special thanks to those who submitted questions to us. We hope we have managed to address at least a couple of them. Those we have not taken up today will be addressed individually through emails. We look forward to come back with the next in this Tech Basics series. If you want us to take up a particular topic, feel free to write in and give us your suggestions. If you wish to view this webinar again, you can do that on Grand Thornton India LLP's YouTube channel. We appreciate your participation today and look forward to be in touch. Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.